What's going on, guys? It's Asal, and today I'm here to talk to you guys about my thoughts on my experience with the Battlefield 1 open beta. Now, initially I didn't really like this game. My first impressions were not that great, but now I've played the game for quite a bit. I've put quite a few hours into the game, and I want to give you my thoughts on what I think of how Battlefield 1 is shaping up thus far. First of all, let's start off with the good things, the things that I really like. Now, the first thing that I really like is that the light tank won't be nearly as strong as it is now in the final release, because currently the light tank is it's too strong. You only need one person in this tank, and it is probably the most effective tank out of the bunch, so I'm really looking forward to this, because currently the light tank pretty much has free reign, so I think this nerf is very much needed, and I am really looking forward to this change. The other big change I'm looking forward to is that Conquest mode is being changed back to its classic version. It used to be time-based in the beginning of the beta, and the rounds were really short, and I didn't really like it. It just felt like I was being shortchanged. I wasn't getting the full experience, but it is going back to that classic style, which is very good, I think, as that's what really made Battlefield what it is. It's kind of the staple of Battlefield, and to move away from that, I think, was a bit of a shame, and it just felt like more casual, I guess. And overall, I'm really glad that they brought back the classic Conquest mode. The destruction in Battlefield 1 is also very good compared to the last Battlefield game that came out, which was Battlefield Hardline. There is so much more destruction. In Battlefield Hardline, there was next to no destruction, really. You couldn't really destroy anything. There were maybe a handful of, glass vases you could break, stuff that doesn't really matter, and a lot of people, myself included, really didn't like that. It just made the game feel really static and boring. And I like that we're actually going back to this destruction. Now, you can't destroy everything. Some things will still remain, which I think is good as far as just flow and map design. But overall, the destruction, it's much more fluid, and it just works really well. For example, if you're in a building and the floor falls out, you literally just fall down to the first floor. You don't have this weird glitchy moment like in Battlefield 4 where you die if you're anywhere near the building when it falls down. You actually remain in the building, and the building reacts, or you react to how the building falls, which I think is really cool, and it's just a really nice attention to detail. So overall, destruction is just very good in Battlefield 1, and I'm really a fan of it. The gunplay in Battlefield 1 also feels and just looks and sounds amazing. It's very satisfying to use the weapons in Battlefield 1, and I particularly like the sound design. Overall, the guns, it's just a pleasant experience. That was one of the first things that I noticed when I started playing Battlefield 1, is that the gunplay feels very good. Now, mind you, the guns behave a little slower than they do in more modern Battlefield games, which makes sense, but they're a pleasure to use. They're very fun, and I appreciate that quite a lot, because that's really the main thing you do in any Battlefield game, is fire the weapons, and the fact that they're fun to use really is a nice touch. And on that note, the gunplay itself is also very balanced. There doesn't seem to be any one type of weapon that outshines the rest. They all have a very nice niche, and assault weapons, let's take these ones for example. They're amazing up close, but they're very poor at range, which was definitely not the case in Battlefield 4, as they were more of a one-size-fits-all type of weapon, and you could come out on top in pretty much any engagement with them. The medic guns are also quite nice to play. They're more of a DMR, and they actually have quite a bit of range to them, and sniping is also very enjoyable, though I do feel that the LMGs are a tad underpowered. They're not really particularly good at any certain range, and as such, not a lot of people have been playing support. Now, I have played support a fair amount, and I have got some kills with them, but I don't really ever find myself feeling glad that I have an LMG. Now, of course, if you do have a bipod and you can get set up, then they are okay, but still, they just feel a little bit underpowered, and I think they could use a little bit of a buff. And aside from the light tank, vehicle balance overall feels quite good. Everything seems to be good at something. There isn't really any one vehicle that feels useless. It seems like every time you get into a vehicle, you feel like you will be able to accomplish at least something. It never feels like you're just wasting your time getting into a vehicle. Even the horses, although they're a little hard to use, they actually can be pretty effective as well. And not to mention that dogfights are amazing. It's so nice to see that the only way to take down an enemy pilot is by being the better pilot. There's no lock-ons, no flares, none of the nonsense that we saw in Battlefield 4. That goes for really everything in Battlefield 1. I think everyone was getting a bit tired of being locked on by a stinger and other smart firing weapons, so it's very refreshing to see those mechanics gone in Battlefield 1, as it really comes down to just raw skill. You don't have all these little gadgets there to help you out. Now that's the good. Let's talk about some of the things that I don't like in the Battlefield 1 beta. Now first of all, tanks pretty much have free reign in Battlefield 1, and currently there aren't a lot of options to take out an enemy tank, and the few options that are available require you to get quite close to the tank, which is difficult to do against a skilled driver. Though this may just be due to the fact that Sinai Desert is a big open map that is best suited for vehicles. For example, if you think of Silk Road in Battlefield 4, tanks were not OP in Battlefield 4, but that was just a particularly good map for tanks, as there were lots of open spaces. Though I think the main reason that I feel tanks have free reign is due to the fact that not many people have unlocked the AT rocket gun for the Assault class, as it offers a ranged option for AT, as we don't really have that right now. Pretty much everyone just has the basic TNT dynamite, and no one has that AT gun, so there's not really a ranged option for anti-tank right now. So as such, it feels like in these big open spaces, tanks can pretty much do whatever they want. So I'm gonna bite my tongue a little bit on this one, as it feels right now that it's a problem, but I think it might not be so much of a problem once we get those long-range AT options available in the full release and when people level up a little bit more in the beta. I also feel that Rush has too many vehicles and open spaces, and overall Sinai Desert just doesn't feel like a very good Rush map. The only way to get anything done in the earlier objectives is to either snipe or to get in a tank, and if you're not doing either one of those, then you're probably getting sniped or blown up by a tank. Though realistically, all of my complaints thus far could be attributed to the fact that I've never really been a fan of maps with huge wide open spaces, and Sinai Desert definitely has its fair share of wide open spaces, but to really get a handle on how vehicles will play in Battlefield 1, I think we need to experience them on a variety of different maps, as really it makes sense in the context of Sinai Desert for vehicles to be strong on a map that is well suited for vehicle combat. This next one isn't really about the gameplay at all. I don't like how slow and clunky the UI feels. It's kind of a minor thing, but it's annoying how slow everything feels. I click on something and I'm kind of wondering what's happening, or I press escape to open the menu, and it just it takes a few seconds, where it's something that should be instantaneous, and I don't really like it, and I would like to see a snappier UI in the final build of the game. I also really don't like the elite class pickups at all. They really don't add anything fun to the game unless you're the person who has the pickup, and it's just extremely frustrating when you're on a kill streak and then you run into someone who has extra armor, more health than you, and deals more damage than you. I don't understand. There's no fun factor to this except for that one person. It just adds another area for imbalance. I don't think we need this. Maybe they're adding this for the Call of Duty players, for the people who want to be overpowered, and I guess I understand that, but just from a classic Battlefield perspective, it's not a Battlefield feature. It's not something that belongs in the game, and I know these pickups aren't going anywhere, but that doesn't change the fact that I wish they were not included in the first place. But overall, I do really like the Battlefield 1 beta. I know I had a lot of complaints there, but overall, I do really like it. My first impressions weren't that great, but the more I played it, the more I found myself enjoying it. Sure, there are a few things that I don't like, but overall, the game really is a lot of fun to play, and I'm really looking forward to playing it on all the new maps at launch this October. Leave a comment down below as to what you think about Battlefield 1 and whether or not you agree or disagree with my opinions. I would love to chat with you guys in the comment section down below, and if you have enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button, and if you want to see more Battlefield 1 content, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Now everybody, this has been Asal, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.